Why do so many know the lessons of Stoicism, yet fail to live them? The gap lies in habits. Marcus Aurelius wrote that control begins with the self, not the world. In this video, you'll learn 5 Stoic routines that turn discipline from an idea into a lived truth. One that shapes your thoughts, actions, and results. You wake up each morning thinking you have the whole day ahead of you. The truth is, the day is already half decided before you even get out of bed. Your first thoughts, your first actions, your first distractions, they quietly set the tone for everything that follows. And here's the paradox. You think you're in control because you're awake, but in reality, most people are still running on yesterday's momentum. If yesterday began in chaos, today is already halfway there. That's the uncomfortable truth about discipline. It doesn't start when you feel ready. It starts before you even feel awake. Discipline isn't just a virtue you apply when challenges come. It's the invisible structure you build before challenges arrive. Those who wait for the right mood, the right inspiration, or the perfect circumstances to act will find that those conditions rarely come. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius didn't open his mornings by scrolling for news or reacting to gossip. He began by training his mind, reminding himself of what he could control, and preparing to meet the day on his terms. Seneca warned, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." Every moment you start without discipline is a moment you've surrendered to whatever the world throws at you. And that's why the first 10 minutes after you wake up matter more than you think. They are not a warm-up. They are the opening move in a game that decides how you will think, act, and respond for the next 16 hours. Do you begin with clarity, or do you begin reacting to the noise? Do you shape the day, or does the day shape you? If you think you can answer that later, you've already lost control. If you find value here, subscribe. It's a small click for you, but it helps us share more timeless Stoic wisdom with the world. And more importantly, it keeps these principles present in your own life. Because exposure to truth is only the first step. Repetition is what makes it stick. Here's something I want you to consider, and answer honestly in the comments. Which do you think is harder? A, controlling your thoughts, or B, controlling your emotions? You might be surprised at how the two are connected. The first thoughts you entertain when you wake up often determine the emotions you carry for the rest of the day. If your mind starts with clutter, irritation, or self-doubt, those feelings follow you like shadows. But if your mind starts with intention and structure, you carry that steadiness with you even when things go wrong. Anchoring your day in discipline isn't about rigid routines for their own sake. It's about taking the first decisive step that tells your mind, "I am leading today, not following it." That might mean starting with a journal entry, a short meditation, or a deliberate review of your priorities before you even check a single notification. The act itself matters less than the signal it sends. You are in command of yourself before the world has a chance to distract or provoke you. The opposite is also true. If you start by handing over your attention to others, you have already outsourced your mood, your focus, and your direction for the day. So the real question isn't whether you have discipline. It's when you choose to use it. And most people wait too long. By the time they realize they've lost control of their day, it's already evening, and they're promising themselves they'll start fresh tomorrow. But as the Stoics would remind us, tomorrow is never guaranteed. Discipline has to begin now, in the smallest choices, before the day even gets a chance to push back. And yet, there's a principle Marcus Aurelius lived by that most people ignore until it's too late. Most people think they are responding to life as it happens. The truth is, you're responding to the version of the event you've built in your own mind. And here's the paradox. What you call reality is often nothing more than an unexamined opinion you've mistaken for fact. You assume the insult was meant to hurt you, that the delay is proof of failure, or that the challenge means you're unprepared. Yet none of these interpretations exist outside of your mind until you choose to give them weight. This is where the Stoic sees the battlefield differently. The event is neutral. The meaning you attach to it is the weapon or the shield. Epictetus warned, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." That single shift, from seeing yourself as a victim of events to the interpreter of them, puts you back in command. The problem is, most people outsource this interpretation. They let moods, habits, or other people decide the story for them, and then wonder why they keep losing the same fight. Imagine two people getting the exact same performance review at work. Both hear the same words. One walks away feeling humiliated and discouraged. The other walks away energized, seeing every critique as a map to improvement. The difference is not in the event, but in the lens through which they viewed it. And this lens is always a choice, though we rarely treat it as one. The intellectual pain here is that your default interpretation is often the wrong one. It's been shaped by years of bias, fear, and convenience. The Stoic discipline is to pause before judgment, to ask, is this conclusion accurate or just comfortable? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it, and it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now. That now is where your strength lies, not in controlling the event, but in reclaiming control over your narrative. This is not an argument for naive optimism or pretending problems don't exist. The Stoic doesn't say, everything is fine. They say, this is what has happened. Now, what is the most useful way to see it? That distinction is everything. Pretending minimizes reality. Reframing uses reality as material for growth. If you can see an obstacle as training, you've already gained something from it, even before it's removed. The real challenge is that reframing must become instinctive. In the moment, under pressure, you won't have the luxury of a long philosophical debate with yourself. You will act according to the lens you've trained. If you've practiced reacting with frustration, that's what will appear. If you've practiced seeing opportunity in difficulty, that too will be automatic. Your daily mental habits are the drills for this battlefield. If you know someone who needs this message, share this video with them. You might change their day or even their life. Because when someone learns they have a choice in how they see the world, they also learn they have a choice in how they shape their future. And that leads naturally to a deeper Stoic principle. The idea that pursuing what feels good in the moment often comes at the expense of who you want to become. Seneca wrote extensively on this trade-off, warning that without a clear purpose, even the best opportunities can turn into subtle forms of weakness. In the next section, we'll examine why the Stoic insists on filtering every action through a higher aim, and how that single discipline can transform discomfort into an ally. You've been told all your life to chase what makes you happy. But here's the paradox. The more you chase happiness directly, the more it slips away. Comfort without purpose eventually turns into boredom. Pleasure without direction slowly becomes dependence. And when the initial thrill fades, you're left asking a question you can't ignore. Was any of it worth it? The Stoics were blunt about this. They didn't reject pleasure, but they refused to let it lead. For them, pleasure was a visitor, not a ruler. Seneca warned that without a clear aim, even the sweetest rewards become traps. They lull you into thinking you're moving forward when in truth, you're standing still. Or worse, sliding backward. The intellectual pain here is that much of what you call self-care or relaxation may actually be self-sabotage dressed in soft clothing. You feel busy, you feel occupied, but you're not building anything that lasts. Purpose is the filter that separates what is merely enjoyable from what is truly valuable. Marcus Aurelius advised himself daily, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is more than moral advice. It's a method for energy management. Every action costs something: time, focus, opportunity. Without purpose, you spend these resources as if they're infinite. With purpose, you spend them as if your life depends on it, because it does. Think about the last week of your life. How much of it was spent in activities that aligned with your larger aim? If your honest answer is not much, then you've been letting comfort choose for you. The Stoic asks a harder question. If I had to live the same week over and over, would I become the person I want to be? That question is uncomfortable because it exposes the quiet drift of our days. The danger of living without a defined purpose isn't that you'll be miserable. It's that you'll be comfortable enough to never change. And comfort without growth isn't peace. It's stagnation. Purpose changes the relationship you have with difficulty. A workout, a hard conversation, a demanding project, they all stop being annoyances and start becoming necessary steps toward a defined destination. Without that destination, the same challenges feel pointless and exhausting. Epictetus put it simply, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is the blueprint for a life that is both resilient and intentional. Once you decide who you're aiming to become, every choice can be measured against that aim. You'll still enjoy pleasures, but they'll serve you instead of ruling you. That's the discipline, using joy as fuel for the journey, not as the journey itself. If this lesson resonates with you, like this video and subscribe for more timeless Stoic wisdom. These principles are only as valuable as your willingness to practice them, and committing to learn them consistently is the first step toward living them. Next, we'll examine a mindset that is just as vital as purpose itself: the discipline to protect your energy through silence and self-control, a strategy Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics used to maintain strength without noise and influence without seeking attention. The more you speak, the less you listen. The more you react, the less you think. And the more you chase every distraction, the less of yourself you have left to give to what truly matters. This is the quiet truth most people never face until their energy is already gone. Self-control and silence are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you value your resources too much to waste them. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That strength begins with choosing when to speak, when to act, and when to hold back. It is in those moments of restraint that you protect the focus you need for the battles that matter. Consider how easily energy is lost through constant reaction. You check your phone the moment a notification arrives, and your train of thought is broken. You answer every message instantly, and your day is no longer your own. You argue over things you cannot change, and your peace is gone. Each choice feels small, but they add up to a life lived on someone else's terms. The Stoics train themselves to act with intention, not impulse. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Much of that suffering comes from giving time and attention to things that have no real impact on your life. Silence allows you to step back, see clearly, and decide what deserves your energy. Procrastination here isn't just about delaying work. It's about delaying the decision to take ownership of your attention. Every day, you postpone that decision. You allow trivial things to erode your strength. If you keep delaying, opportunities won't just pass by. They will never return. You cannot recover the time you lose to meaningless reactions. Guarding your energy with self-control means setting boundaries without apology. It means recognizing that not every conversation is worth joining. Not every emotion is worth feeding. And not every invitation is worth accepting. It means creating space for reflection before you respond. It's choosing to walk away from arguments you could win, because winning them costs more than they are worth. When you live this way, your silence becomes a source of influence. People listen when you speak because you do not waste words. They take your actions seriously because they are deliberate, not driven by impulse. And most importantly, you begin to trust yourself because you know your choices come from a place of clarity, not compulsion. In the next part, we'll explore how the Stoics developed the ability to endure beyond their immediate feelings, turning fatigue, doubt, and discomfort into tools for growth, and proving that resilience is not about feeling strong, but about acting with strength when you least feel like it. Feelings are real, but they are not reliable. They rise and fall with your energy, your circumstances, and even the weather. Yet most people allow these shifting states to dictate their decisions. This is why discipline often collapses, not because the goal was wrong, but because the person tied their commitment to how they felt in the moment. The Stoic approach begins with accepting that you will not always feel like doing what is necessary. The measure of your character is what you choose to do when your mood and your mission are in conflict. In daily life, you will face mornings when motivation is absent, afternoons when fatigue tempts you to abandon your work, and evenings when doubt makes you question why you began in the first place. These are not signs you are failing. They are the training ground itself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The mind is strengthened when it learns to act with reason, even as emotion resists. Think of endurance as a skill rather than a gift. No one is born with an unshakable will. It is developed through repeated acts of follow-through, especially when conditions are imperfect. The workout you complete on a cold morning trains more than your body. It trains the habit of keeping promises to yourself regardless of comfort. The conversation you have when you would rather avoid conflict teaches you to prioritize truth over ease. Every time you push forward in less than ideal conditions, you reinforce a simple truth. Your actions are not controlled by your immediate feelings. The alternative is to live reactively, starting and stopping based on passing impulses. This cycle keeps you in a state of permanent restart, chasing short bursts of effort followed by long stretches of stagnation. Over time, this erodes both your confidence and your results. The Stoics understood that real progress comes from consistency, not intensity. A small effort sustained over time builds more than an occasional surge fueled by fleeting enthusiasm. Endurance is also a form of self-respect. When you continue to act on your priorities despite fatigue, boredom, or frustration, you prove to yourself that your values are stronger than your moods. This is not about ignoring feelings. They can provide useful information, but about placing them in their proper role. They are signals, not commands. You acknowledge them, but you do not surrender to them. Training yourself to endure beyond your feelings requires preparation. Decide in advance what you will do and commit to it as if your future depends on it, because in many ways, it does. When the moment of resistance arrives, you will not need to debate with yourself. You will simply follow the plan you have already chosen. Now consider your own life. How often have you allowed temporary feelings to dictate permanent results? In just one sentence, share the Stoic principle you live by. In this video, we explored 5 Stoic routines designed to strengthen daily discipline and cultivate inner power, anchoring your day before it begins, reframing events as choices, pursuing purpose over pleasure, guarding your energy through silence and self-control, and training yourself to endure beyond temporary feelings. The most important takeaway is that these are not abstract ideas, but daily practices that, when applied consistently, allow you to lead your life with clarity rather than be led by impulse or circumstance. The deeper lesson is that control over the self is the highest form of freedom, and it begins with small, deliberate acts. Choosing your first thoughts in the morning, pausing before judgment, aligning actions with purpose, protecting your attention, and following through even when motivation fades. You can start today by selecting one of these routines and applying it immediately. One quiet but intentional decision that signals to yourself you are in command. Viewed through the Stoic lens, progress is built not in rare bursts of effort, but in steady, reasoned choices that accumulate over time into unshakable strength. Reflect on this. If your habits quietly shape the person you are becoming, are they leading you toward the life you respect or one you will later regret? In the comments, share the Stoic habit you apply every day or the one you most want to begin. Subscribe to discover timeless Stoic principles each week and learn how to apply them in real life.